Chapter 3 of 50 Shades of Grey is basically dedicated to Anastasia blushing. My breath hitches, and I flush. You're actually blushing. Oh, Kate, you know I blush all the time. It's an occupational hazard with me. Lighting me up, making me blush, and I flush. Again, I flush. Let's do coffee, I murmur, flushing a beet red. So I gaze down at the floor, feeling my cheeks turning pink. Gray is back, startling me. I go crimson. I flush, scarlet. Except for when you blush, of course, which is often. And as if on cue, I blush. Anyway, so she tells her friend Catherine, who's in charge of the article that she interviewed Gray for, that she's able to get him to have a photo shoot, and Catherine just flips her shit. Catherine makes Anastasia call her friend Jose, who apparently is a photographer, to set up a photo shoot with Mr. Gray, even though Jose is in love with her and it's super awkward. So if it isn't obvious by now, Jose is supposed to be Jacob Black, Christian Grey is supposed to be Edward Cullen, Anastasia is supposed to be Bella Swan. I have no idea who her friend Catherine is supposed to be. Maybe she's the only original character in the book. So they do the photo shoot, and that's awkward. But then at the end, Christian Grey asks Anastasia out for a cup of coffee. And oh my god, does she turn crimson. So coffee's really weird, and it's kind of like he's interviewing her and asking her really weird questions. Do you always wear blue jeans? He asks out of the blue. So at the end of the coffee date, she trips and almost falls into traffic, but he grabs her and they end up in this embrace, and she tries to go in for a kiss, and he's like, no, Anastasia, you have to stay away from me. I'm dangerous. Anastasia, you should steer clear of me. I'm not the man for you, he whispers. She's all upset because he rejected her and tries to cover it up by studying for finals. And a week goes by, she's done with all of her finals, and so is Catherine. She comes home to this mysterious package. It's not addressed to them, it's just, all it's written is Anastasia and her last name, which I can't remember. She opens it up and sees all these first edition books of her favorite novels, and it's obviously from Mr. Gray, and that's not creepy at all. She's all confused because he rejected her but then gave her these weird books, so she goes to Catherine. She's like, let's get trashed because we graduated. Apparently she's never been drunk before, but she decides to have 5 margaritas and a glass of champagne, and she's out on the dance floor, and she's standing in line for the bathroom and looks at her phone and realizes that the last person she called was Christian Grey, so she presses dial and calls him again because she's trashed. He answers the phone and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, so he's like, I'm coming to get you. She doesn't tell him where she is, but he somehow finds her. And it's just in time, too, because she's outside with Jose, and he's really trying to get in her pants. She's having none of it. Gray swoops in, rescues her, and she just vomits everywhere. She wakes up in his hotel room bed and starts remembering everything. Then he walks in the room, and he's like, get up, here's some new clothes. He lectures her for a while on being drunk and not knowing how to be drunk right and how she didn't eat before she went out. You are quite the disciplinarian, I hiss at him. Oh, Anastasia, you have no idea. He's like, you need to stay away from me. I'm not the guy for you. I'm trying so hard to stay away from you, but I really like you. And she's like, don't stay away from me then. Just go for it. Basically, he agrees to show her whatever she needs to know before they start this relationship thing. Apparently, she needs to sign a contract. That's always a safe thing. So they're heading out of the hotel, and it's just full of sexual tension, apparently. My breathing alters as my heart races. His head turns fractionally towards me, his eyes dark as slate. I bite my lip. Oh, fuck the paperwork, he growls. He lunges at me, pushing me against the wall of the elevator. They're humping in the elevator, grinding on each other. He's pulling her hair back because that's super hot. And then they get to the bottom floor and they're like, okay. And that's how the chapter ends.